Fellow Zimbabweans, tomorrow is a very, very important day. It is a peace day, it is a family day, but more importantly, it is a freedom day. We are marching for our freedom, and I'm glad to say I'm joining the people in their demonstration, because this is not a party event, it is a people's event. It is just beyond a party. It is about all of us. It doesn't matter which party you belong to. It doesn't matter which church you belong to. It doesn't matter which region you come from. Let us come together. Let us reason together as a people to express ourselves. The state of affairs is unbearable. Our situation is unacceptable. Our circumstances are unbearable. And for that reason, let us get together. Let us reason together to find a permanent solution and express ourselves to say this far and no further. This cannot continue. This cannot be a situation in our country. And tomorrow, because it is an important day, we have to express ourselves. And I urge you to express yourselves peacefully, express yourselves lawfully and constitutionally, because ours is a peaceful march. Ours is a peaceful activity to make sure that we express ourselves in peace without causing any violence or confrontation. We want to make sure that there's total non-violence in our participation. So every citizen, you are supposed to be your own watchman, making sure that you are watching over your shoulder for those who are trying to be violent. We are aware that there would be those who would want to come and invade or even intrude to try and cause problems, to send a particular narrative that we are an unlawful or a violent people. We are not. We believe in giving peace a chance. We believe in making sure that peace is simple. We believe in making peace a reality in our country. And for that reason, we are going to be marching peacefully. Our march is not just going to be peaceful, lawful, but it's also going to be constitutional. Beyond that, we want to make sure that we invite peace monitors. Yes, our journalists, yes, our church leaders, and indeed the international community, the diplomatic community, to come and superintend over this process, to make sure that there is accountability on everything that happens. Within our own system and mechanisms, we'll have to make sure that we put in place gadgets and personnel to make sure that those who are going to be violent are handed over to the police. But we are also asking our security services. That's why we have informed our police. As you know, this is a people's police, and we expect them to make sure that they defend, protect the people. And this is why even when you look at the logo of the police, it's written pro patria, pro lege, pro populi, meaning to say for the country, for the law, and for the people. Meaning to say whatever they do, they must do it for the people, for the country, and to make sure that it's for the law. It has to be lawful. And this is why, as MDC and as the people of Zimbabwe, have had the constitutional obligation and the constitutional right to inform the police, to notify the police, and the duty that the police have constitutionally, an obligation and responsibility they have, is to then in turn exercise their constitutional duty by providing security, peace, order, and stability. But more importantly, they have to make sure that they deal with all malcontents or elements of violence without labeling and condemning the MDC the way they've done. To say, look, the MDC is already mobilizing stones. We are not in the business of mobilizing stones. We mobilize people, we mobilize ideas. We mobilize ourselves and we mobilize peace for common good for our people. And that's who we are. So this whole thing of saying there are sacks of stones, granite stones that have been seen, is bizarre as it is ridiculous, because we don't believe in such. In fact, you can't even overthrow a mayor using a sack of granite stones. Why would that be a threat even to a whole government that uses, and that is guns, that is weaponry? We know that these are just scapegoats that are not necessary. We need to make sure that there is ambience, there is an environment of peace as we go to this action. The people are simply marching for their dignity. They are marching for freedom. We are marching for justice. We are marching for fuel. We are marching for energy. We are marching for electricity. We are marching for the decency in our homes. We are marching for decent salaries. We are marching for our civil servants to have dignity. We are marching to have hospital fees affordable, school fees affordable, our kids going to school. Can you imagine just having civil servants earning $35 a month in real terms? That's not possible to be sustainable. You look at our soldiers who are getting $50 a month. You're looking at your doctors, $150 US dollars, especially for those at the entry level. That is not acceptable. And that is why we are saying there has to be a real thing to find a permanent solution to the problems affecting our people. And this is why tomorrow's demonstration is a people's demonstration, no party regalia. We are marching against corruption and looting. We are marching against institutionalized corruption. We are marching against cartels. We are marching against arrests, arbitrary arrests, and also the violation of people's fundamental rights. We are marching against the use of violence to settle disputes in our society. We are marching against exclusion of certain and important people. We are marching against election rigging. We are marching against stealing of elections and stolen mandates in our country. And we are marching for peace. We are marching for freedom. We are marching for legitimacy. We are marching for democracy. That is what it is all about. Some of you may want to know, what is the end game? What does success look like at the end of tomorrow? For us, we need a people's government, a legitimate people's government, from the people, by the people, and for the people. That government is only going to be the one that will be able to deal with the people's grievances. People's issues cannot be resolved without the people's government. And this is why we must be able to cure the fundamental problems that are affecting our country. And they are fivefold. The first one is the disease or crisis of legitimacy that has been birthed before the election, during the elections, and after the elections. And that has to be dealt with. The issue of comprehensive reforms that will address the deficit and deficient areas around governance and good governance have to be resolved. Issues to do with nation building, national healing, and the national visioning process. And this is why I've invited Mr. Mnangagwa to say, let's reason together, not for purpose of power sharing, but for purpose of vision sharing, of ideas sharing, of sharing a dream for a great country, a dream for a great Zimbabwe, a dream for happiness, for freedom, for justice, for the pursuit of happiness for every citizen. That can only be possible when the political players are able to come together. As you know, people voted. They are very clear in terms of their choices, in terms of where they have reposed their mandates. We need to respect that in the process of envisioning for our country, in the dialoguing process. The fourth issue is the issue of international engagement. I've made this point. There can't be genuine and possible international engagement without national engagement by citizens, among citizens. So we need people to come together so that we then pave a way for an international engagement, so that we shed off our Banana Republic tag and the pariah status that we have attained over the years. To be able to do this, there's need of joining of hands, joining of the minds, and of course, a meeting of the minds as we move forward as a people in this country. Last but not least is the issue of dealing with the economy. Economic reforms, but economic resuscitation, humanitarian support. The social crisis has to be alleviated. And to be able to do this, there has to be a shared understanding of the problems that we are facing. Once we have done this, we then have to embark on a 5-step process to have a solution in this country. The first one, let's build a national consensus on the direction for our country. Secondly, let's have inclusive, credible national dialogue with observers and also adjudicators who are able to move this process forward, who have mutual respect of both parties. Beyond that, we also need to make sure that internationally there is scaffolding of the process, there is underwriting of the process, so that there is no clawback on the progress that would have been made, and have sunset provisions to whatever dialogue we are going to have in terms of the time frame. Thirdly, we need then to have a transitional mechanism that will deal with the issues of reform in transiting our country from our current quagmire to circumstances of legitimacy and democracy. To be able to do this, that mechanism has to be agreed upon. It has to have a time frame, but it must also inspire confidence among the citizens. Because the crisis in this country is a crisis of governance, is a crisis of confidence. It's a political crisis, not an economic crisis. We must fix the politics so that the economics falls into place. So that is what we must be able to deal with. The fourth issue is a comprehensive raft of reforms: electoral reforms, political reforms, constitutional reforms, legislative reforms, media reforms, and all other such reforms, including economic reforms and social reforms, dealing with the state-party conflation, so that we remove that partocracy, the separation between the state and the party, so that we are able to restore the role of the people in governance, the role of the citizens in governance. Last but not least is to pave way for free and fair elections, so that elections are not disputed. We don't want a vicious cycle of disputed elections, of disputed money, of stolen elections. That is the genesis of the problem. Once we are able to resolve issues of stolen elections, then we're able to find a way forward for the people of Zimbabwe. So the solution is not going to be getting a loan for ESCOM to deal with electricity. That's not the answer. You are answering the wrong question. The question is, what do we do to deal with stolen elections? That requires the roadmap to the return to legitimacy and democracy, and not a soft loan. Because the soft loan, if it is given without the fundamentals, without the issue of addressing the base, it will be just tampering with the superstructure without going to the base and finding the fundamental institutional issues that have to be the foundation of a sustainable and democratic Zimbabwe. I thank you. God bless you.